I'm recording now.
Okay.
Yeah, we can start.
Okay. Yeah, why don't we,
It's all members of the public, let it.
Yeah, let me. Put it down. I'll click on the waiting room and now.
we can start.
Yeah, we can start.
All right, I guess you go into that video. Right?
Oh,
Second video.
Welcome to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting. When the meeting begins momentarily, the chair will take a roll call, explain any specific rules for this particular board, and then move to public comment. The name of the board member will appear on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. For instance, this is board member Y, and this is board member E. Public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. You can indicate that you are ready to testify by clicking on the Raise Hand button being circled by the mouse on your screen now. At the appropriate time, the board will recognize you to speak and ask you to unmute your mic as shown here. Again, public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. Public attendees will not be able to unmute their microphone until recognized by the board. Public attendees who are recognized to testify will be asked to identify themselves by name and their affiliated organization if applicable. Please mute your microphone when you are finished speaking as a courtesy to others and members of the board. Public attendees will not be able to unmute themselves after the testimony is completed unless recognized again after raising their hand. At some point during the meeting, the board may choose to move into executive session. When the board moves into executive session, the board members' microphones and video feeds will be turned off, and a similar screen as you see now will be displayed.
Okay.
When the board returns from executive session, their microphones will be turned on as well as their video cameras. Welcome again to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting. At this time, the chair will call the meeting to order and take a roll call, as well as explain any additional rules that may be specific to this board.
Okay, welcome to the November 14th, 2025 Board of Public Accountancy meeting. Before we start our agenda, there are some administrative rules to go through, which is actually posted on your agenda. Internet access. To view the meeting and provide live oral testimony, please use the link at the top of your agenda. You'll be asked to enter your name. The board requests that you enter your full name, but you may use a pseudonym or other identifier if you wish to remain anonymous. You will also be asked for an email address. You may fill in this field with any entry in the email format form. Your microphone will be automatically muted. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may click the raise hand button found on your Zoom screen to indicate that you wish to testify about the agenda item. The chairperson will individually enable each testifier to unmute their microphone. When recognized by the chairperson, please unmute your microphone before speaking and mute your microphone after you finish speaking. For phone access, if you cannot get internet access, you may get audio-only access by calling the Zoom phone number listed at the top of the agenda. Upon dialing the number, you'll be prompted to enter the meeting ID, which is also listed at the top of the agenda. After entering the meeting ID, you will be asked to enter your panelist number and wait to be admitted into the meeting. You will not have a panelist number, so please wait until you're admitted into the meeting. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may indicate you want to testify by entering star then 9 on your phone's keypad. After entering star and 9, a voice prompt will let you know that the host of the meeting has been notified. When recognized by the chairperson, you may unmute yourself by pressing star then 6 on your phone. A voice prompt will let you know that you are unmuted. Once you are finished speaking, please enter star 6 again to mute yourself. For both internet and phone access when testifying, you will be asked to identify yourself and the organization, if any, that you represent. Each testifier will be limited to 5 minutes of testimony per agenda item. If the connection to the meeting is lost for more than 30 minutes, the meeting will be continued on a specified date and time. This information will be provided on the board's website, and the link is in your agenda. Instructions to attend the State of Hawaii virtual board meeting will be found at the link in the agenda. At this time, I would like to do agenda item number 1, roll call. So I'll do a roll call. Isabella Gary. Zach Johnson.
Here.
Wendell Lee. Here. Alexander Smith. Here. Chris Lee. Here. John Arbos. Here. Gary Miyashiro. Here.
Zach, confirm that he's alone.
All right, Zach, can you confirm that you're alone in your space?
Yep, I am alone.
Okay. Any word from Robert Carr? Nope. Okay, so Robert Carr is not here. All right, prior to going to agenda item number 2, the board may move into executive session in accordance with HRS 92-4 and 92-5A4 to consult with the board's attorney on questions and issues pertaining to the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities. Before I go into agenda item number 2, chairperson's report, is there any testimony from the public?
There is no testimony from the public. There's
Seeing none. In the chairperson's report, item 2A, correspondence. Can I have a motion to move into executive session for this agenda item?
Sorry, just to specify, is this just gonna be on 2AI or 2A, all both items at 2A?
For both items. in
Okay.
2A.
Okay.
This is John. I'll move to enter into executive session.
Gary, I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded to move into executive session. At this time, I'll take a vote. Isabella Gary,
Yes.
Zachary Johnson,
Yes.
Wendell Lee. Yes. Smith. Yes. Chris Lee.
yes.
John Arbos.
Yes.
Gary Miyashiro, yes. So we will move into executive session at this time.
Just FYI, the conference room is muted.
Muted. Okay.
Okay, now we're good.
Okay, again, to repeat, we're back in open session. As noted for the record, board member Robert Carahara has joined the meeting. So if that can be added to the record. To review, we are on agenda item 2AI, the practice of public accountancy. There was an inquiry to the board, and there are 3 questions based on the facts presented to us. And I'll just read the questions, just, even though it's on the agenda. Can an attorney, not a trustee, prepare, review, and submit a financial report of an estate for the court's approval for a fee and attest to its accuracy of the report without being a licensed certified public accountant? Second question, can an attorney, not a trustee, audit a financial report of the estate for court's approval for a fee and attest to its accuracy of the report without being a licensed certified public accountant? And can only a licensed CPA provide attest services? So, to kind of directly answer the question, to address the first 2, as far as the board's laws and rules, they do not set forth requirements or criteria of what an attorney may or may not submit to the court for approval of the practice of law. I think such conduct is governed by the laws and rules of the legal profession, which we are not opining. So I think as far as the response to the first 2 questions, A and B, as far as that's concerned, it's not I guess, under the board's jurisdiction as far as how we can determine what is submitted to the court. So, I think that answers, as far as the first 2 questions. The third question, can only a licensed CPA provide attest services? Under the chapter 466-3 definition, it does define attest services as services governed by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, so the AICPA. That, there's nothing, again, in the HRS, again, referring to another section 466-10, which shall prohibit, which there's nothing that prohibits the attorney from engaging in that type of practice. So, I think that the third question is more, a licensed CPA can provide attest services, but again, it's not prohibiting an attorney.
Practicing law, right? Practicing law.
Practicing law, correct. So, I think as far as the board is concerned, that's kind of what we're discussing or what we come up with, and it's an informal, non-binding opinion as far as this issue is concerned. And I think as far as from us, a written response will be forthcoming from us, from our Attorney General. So, is there any discussion from the board members?
One more time for public comment.
Is there any public comment in relation to these matters?
There is no public comment.
Moving on to item number 2, inventory counts and inventory procedures. There was another inquiry to the board, on practice of public accounting. Again, in the form of questions and a fact pattern, that we have. And it is related to, CPA licenses coming from out of state. And the questions are, is the travel to Hawaii solely for the purpose of performing inventory counts considered to be public accounting practice under Hawaii administrative rules? If yes, are all individuals who travel to Hawaii and hold CPA licenses in another state also required to obtain a license in Hawaii? Are both a permit to practice and a Hawaii CPA license required, or does the permit to practice on its own grant permission to perform this temporary work in Hawaii? And are there requirements for anyone on the audit team to have a Hawaii CPA license, even if they do not personally travel to Hawaii to perform the work? For example, the partners on the audit. So, kind of as in its response to these questions, one by one, is the travel to Hawaii solely for the purpose of performing inventory counts considered to be public accounting practice under Hawaii administrative rules? I believe it's the board's position that it is, yes, it is, the practice of public accounting. Second question, if yes, are all individuals who travel to Hawaii and hold CPA license in another state also required to obtain a license in Hawaii? The initial response to that is no. But there needs to be a license on the engagement. Are both a permit to practice in Hawaii and a Hawaii CPA license required? Yes. There is, to practice public accounting in the state of Hawaii, you need both a license and a permit to practice. But again, so as far as discussion on this is, you need a license to obtain a permit. And you can't get a permit if you don't have a license. So that kind of goes to the answer of the first question. And the last question, are there requirements for anyone on the audit team to have a Hawaii CPA license, even if they do not personally travel to Hawaii to perform the work? Based on the answer to the second question, the answer is no. Right, not. Members of the audit team need to have this. Is there any discussion on this? I think the response is that's kind of the board's purview. Is there any public comment to this?
No public comment.
Okay, and again, same thing is an informal, non-binding opinion of the board. And I guess a written response is forthcoming from the board. All right. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 2E. NASBA annual meeting. Is there any public comment related to this agenda item?
There is no public comment.
Okay. All right, this is actually, again, still under my chairperson's report. Let's see, when was that? The last week of October. I attended, along with board member John Arbos, the annual meeting of NASBA in Chicago. And just wanted to point out a few key points in the meeting that I wanted to bring to the board's attention. The first matter being agenda item number 2BA, private equity into the markets of basically CPA firms. There is a white paper attached in the materials that NASBA issued, which really outlines the issues that state board members have to do, or state boards have to address in the marketplace. And basically what's happening on this, and I think we mentioned it in some previous meetings, is that there are alternative practice structures and private equity entering the market. And and in the white paper, NASBA has issued, their views on it and kind of describing the background of it and wants input to, some questions, just as far as like public comment and maybe how they might issue guidance on how the boards should act. And so in the white paper, there is some questions to respond. The response is being solicited from the boards or any interested parties. And the comment is expected, or the deadline for public comment is January 31st of 2024. Which will have, I think our meeting will happen before that, our next meeting, which is, I believe, scheduled sometime in January, but before the 31st. So the white paper again is provided. I just wanted to mention it, that maybe our board should draft a response. And again, I can draft the initial response as far as routing it and then presenting it at the next meeting. Or let's say approval and response to that as well. Like I said, I'll initiate it and then send it out to the board. So you guys all have the white paper. I'll be commenting on it. And again, collectively, we should comment on it. That may, lead to a change in rules if again, it affects the Hawaii market, which I think it does to some degree. Well, like I said, a lot of our rules, which are like a lot of other states, having a CPA license within a firm or the firm ownership has to be all CPAs. That kind of limits some of the practices here in Hawaii, but it is happening, I think, as we speak. And I think I recall one inquiry to the board. I don't know, I think it was last year. And the general inquiry was if the firm was purchased by another entity, and the question was specifically, we aren't holding ourselves out as CPAs and we only do tax work. Do we need a firm permit? And in a nutshell, I think our answer was no. So I think that's happening around the state, which again will lead to the next agenda item that I'm going to talk about in the last point. But anyway, just want to make you aware of it. I will be circulating a response to the white paper, before our next meeting. The other item is the deregulation resources. In a couple meetings ago, when board member Isabella Gary has attended the regional meeting, did mention it in one of her points was the deregulation that's kind of being talked about around the nation. There is maybe a small move, or I don't know if it's a small movement, but it is a movement to reduce the regulation, which I guess to cut to the chase is eliminating boards of occupational licensing. At the meeting, they did discuss that Florida had made a move legislatively this past year to remove the boards and eliminate boards completely, which didn't pass, but I guess they did have some traction. So NASBA's response to that is they do have available a deregulation toolkit for boards should that matter come up in their state. So I think at the regional meeting when you went, they were talking about it, but I think at the annual meeting they did put something together, and so they do have resources at the NASBA. If we contact NASBA, like I said, if we ever come across that. I didn't hear about any legislation in Hawaii, but just that's kind of a big thing, maybe around the nation, which decided NASBA to come up with some guidelines so that they don't have, there's a kind of a procedure to follow should the legislation come up. Another item was the CPA standard update, which is the Uniform Accountancy Act. They are, obviously, if in the UAA, they did modify some of the CPE standards and definitions. So that is available in the UAA, and how that would translate to us is that we would have to modify our rules to accommodate that. And again, there's many details in the UAA, but one of the main topics, for example, is I don't think our rules addresses nano CPE, where CPE is done down to the fraction of an hour. That's just one example, but like, for instance, our rules do not address that. So the UAA does kind of mention that in their new CPE standards, so we may consider that, let's say, modifying it in the rules, should we go through a rules change. You know, that's another topic in addition to the private equity and alternative practice structures. As a side note to that, NASBA does have a CPA tracking system that, I mean, I think some of the other states mentions that they use, and it's pretty good. Although contrary to what we did a couple of licensing periods ago, where we didn't require the licensees to submit the list of CPEs that they were doing. It's basically honor system, and then only under audit, which we tasked the DCCA staff to do we request a list of CPA, and we do an audit of their CPA list. So the need for a CPE tracking system may not be there, but I don't know, it's just something to bring up, because some of the other states that said that it was really good and they liked using it. But again, I think our board and staff made a move to that. Just leave it up to the licensee.
Comment is when that happened, some CPAs mentioned to me that that's how they liked keeping track of it themselves through the system that we were using before. I mean, they had to just come up with their own system when we stopped doing it, but they did they liked that was their place where they tracked their.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I think at the meeting, we did talk to some other states. Feedback was that is pretty good, but again, that would be the burden upon these staff, but I just thought I'd bring that up.
Well, that just for input, that the system that we have now is not really, it's run by a third party. And that is something that the state management has to control. So that's the reason why. But yeah, that's those things, the system that we currently have, the renewals, the whole thing, those are third party. So we have no control of it. It's a state control.
Okay. All right, so the last item I think that was salient to I think our board is the use of CPA, the use of title is a concern. And that's kind of a new one that I think the rumblings were being talked about in the last couple of years. And what happened was this discussion happened at a breakout meeting of the chairs and executive directors of each state. And being that, you know, obviously it was an annual meeting, so you had most of the states represented and not just the regions. What some states are dealing with in relation to the alternative practice structures is firms are saying, you know, they're either being bought out, they're merging, they're doing these alternative practice structures and maybe separating out the test function or the test services. And then other entities are forming to do non-attest services. And what's they hear the rumblings on is some of the firms are saying, don't use the title. So don't hold yourself out to be a CPA. Because the entity that you're in, we don't want to be regulated by the board, right? So they're actually telling their people that, hey, I know you attained this license, but since you work for a firm, like, don't use it. Don't use it in your email, don't use it in your letterhead, don't use it. So therefore, we're not holding out. Therefore, we're not under the board's jurisdiction for the services in this particular area. So that was pretty concerning as far as the CPA profession as a whole and obviously NASBA. So it was a pretty heated discussion, but it seems like it's maybe growing issue in relation to the alternative practice structures. Again, I don't know the solution to that, but I just thought I'd bring it up, that kind of like how the pipeline issues were rumbling for many, many years until now the board are starting to take action. The use of titles is kind of gaining volume, I guess, across the nation in connection with the alternative practice structures. So just be aware of that. So again, it was a major discussion that could have gone on for hours and hours, but obviously we were limited to our session. But I'm just making the board aware, and I guess some of the public how it does directly affect us because we are regulating the CPA license. So thought that was pretty. So again, that kind of a fast recap of what's happening in the discussions at the meeting. Kind of as a cap on that. I don't know if the state has the budget, but would be good if the executive officer could attend along with with us if we look at the annual meeting, because it does provide a broader perspective on what the other states are doing. I know they have Zoom meetings, I think, for NASBA has Zoom meetings for all the executive directors, so you kind of get it at that point, but kind of good to be there at the same time, I guess. Anyway.
NASBA pay for,
Yeah, I think they do. They like this last one, NASBA actually gave a approval for a scholarship for both me and John. So they actually, first time I see them authorize two board members or two attendees, I should say. Doesn't matter if it's from the board or from the state. Anyway, it's kind of good to for both the state staff and the board members to be there, because a lot of states do that. And so the discussion can also happen, you know, at the meeting on how to address some of these issues. So anyway, just thought I'd report on that. Which then leads me to agenda item 2C. So some of these items are going to require rules changes or updates to revision. So I wanted to kind of bring up the process of updating the Hawaii revised statutes and Hawaii administrative rules. There is some pretty, we were just witness to it when we changed the licensing requirements for the certification this past year. So I think there's a flow chart that we could, that I don't know if I can reroute again, but it's a very legislative process. There's timing and everything and when to introduce the revisions to the rules. So as far as rules redrafting, I think, you know, we may have to start that list. I think Wendell, you mentioned maybe starting some of the topics on that. Especially when relate to alternate practice structures, but there is a
list.
Just the one that we finished last year, that is done internally, administratively. So the administrator just signed off on it, and the director has signed off on it, but we still have to go through the process. So it will take a while before the actual changes will be reflected in the HAR. Now, the one that the past HRS was passed last time, that's still an act. It's not updated yet on the HRS. So if you look it up on the HRS on the governor's site, it will not be reflected yet. But we still call it an act. The one that changes the experience qualification.
right.
Yeah, so it's not quite in the statute yet, but because it was signed, when we do code it, we put it as an act. And for the HAR, the rules, because when it was passed, the HRS, we had to update the HAR. And that, like I said, right now, that portion, I'm at the page where the director has signed off on it, but it still has to go through a long process though.
Right, so I think, yeah, the simplified version does take a while. I mean, I think the last time we changed the rules, it took 30 months or something. Or it took 2.5 years or something, so, anyway, I mean, I think we should start that process. And there are other topics in the rules that I think I did communicate to Hector last year. Maybe I could pick that up again and, route it to the board and see where we can take that.
So if you can let me know what that update, then we can
Yeah.
start working on.
Okay, so I just wanted to bring that up on the agenda as far as like how it does take a while. There's a flow chart that we were given a few years ago. I probably could look it up, but I know Hector probably has it that we could route just to kind of give you an idea of the timeline, which has already basically started, right? I mean, because we're at the end of the year, things have to be introduced in a certain time frame. So we may have maybe planning for next year. I don't know, but anyway, I just thought I'd bring it up just to get the ball rolling on it. All right, moving on to agenda item number 3. Is there any testimony from the public on this agenda item?
There is no testimony from the public.
Okay, it is the July 18, 2025 meeting minutes. If we need to move into executive session or anything for that, but is there any discussion, revisions, corrections to the minutes of the July 18th? If not, can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the July 18, 2025?
This is John, I'll move.
I'll second. Okay, moved and seconded to approve the minutes to July 18, 2025 meeting. I'll take vote. Isabella Gary. Zach Johnson,
Yes.
Robert Kawahara,
Yes.
Hugh Lee,
Yes.
Alex Smith,
Yes.
Bruce Lee,
Yes.
John Arbus.
Yes.
Diane Miyashiro, yes, motion carried. Okay, agenda item number 4, executive officer report. Is there any testimony from the public related to this agenda item?
There is no testimony from the public.
Okay, if not, I'll hand it over to Hector.
The first one is the Olelo. As you notice, there was someone here earlier, and that is from a staff from Olelo. So all board meetings now, not just the accountancy board, are, of course, they were new too, but now they are also being recorded by Olelo. This is to comply with the Sunshine Law that was passed a couple of years ago. So just to let you know. Someone requested the scores, stats from NASBA. So I compiled the NASBA for 2024. For 2024, there were a total of 213 candidates who took the NASBA scores. Of those, 49% passed from Hawaii. The average score from Hawaii was 70. You need 75 to pass. And the distribution as far as the colleges from Hawaii of those candidates, we had 27 from BYU, 6 Chaminade, Hawaii Pacific University 11, UH Hilo 6, UH Manoa 107, UH West Oahu 22 for a total of 179. Next on the agenda is the renewals. First, if you are doing renewals online, make sure that you do. If you hold a permit to practice, you click on updating or renewing your PTP. Click that box because since we started renewing, we had at least 10 people who email us and says, "I forgot to check it, so I cannot renew." And again, the company that does that is not the state of Hawaii; it's a third party. So it takes a long process. But anyway, for renewals, we have right now, as of today, we have a total of 2,845 CPA holders in Hawaii. Out of that, out of that, out of this, since yesterday, 663 of the 2845 renewed, most of them online. We have a total of 746 firms, including sole proprietorship, that have a firm permit to practice. Of that, 90 as of yesterday have renewed their permit. In 2024, we sent audits. There were some who did not respond. Most of them were because their letters were returned to us. And I had one last week. It just came back to him a year later. But anyway, so he could provide, he did provide his CPEs. So of course, just to remind that if you're moving, you do need to let us know of your change of address, because your renewals will not be sent to the right address, and of course, it will make your renewals harder to do. I think that's all I have.
It's the application forms.
Oh, the application forms. The applications forms have been all updated. In fact, most of the applicants that we have been using the application forms. As far as the three ways to achieve the CPA, they are on the website as well. And it should be under the important updates on the website. And again, we do have a lot of people just calling in or inquiring, but so far nobody has used the 120 yet. Well, we had one, but we'll wait till later on because that individual needs additional time to make that 1 year, as far as experience goes.
I just wanted, I think, Hector, to make sure that the revised, updated application forms were posted to the website.
Yes.
I think it did take a while after the act was signed. So just wanted to let everybody know that it is posted with the new application forms and updated to revise the additional pathways that can be done for licensure. And again, so the new licensing renewal went out, so we'll see how that goes as far as we go. All right. Agenda item number 5. Applications. Is there any public testimony in relation to this agenda item?
I see no public testimony.
I have a motion to move into executive session to discuss the agenda item number 5A and C, the applicants as well as any ratification and approval of firm phrasing.
6-2, yeah.
Number 6 still, Mr. Rishi.
Oh, and number 6.
This is John, I'll move.
Alex, I'll second. Okay, moved and seconded to move into executive session for agenda items number 5 and 6. I'll take a vote. Isabella Gary. Zach Johnson,
Yes.
Robert Carhara,
Yes.
Lee, yes. Alex Smith, yes. Chris Lee,
Yes.
John Arbos.
Yes.
Gary Miyashiro, yes. Motion carried. Let's move into executive session.
Good.
We're good?
Yeah. Never good.
Are we back? Okay, back to open session, on agenda item, 5. Applications, so that we have agenda item number 5A, ratifications, 5B, approval of firm and trade name, 5C, CP applications, and D, CP sponsor agreement. Can I have a motion to approve the applicants for these agenda items?
Wendell, so moved.
Gary second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the items in agenda item number 5A, B, C, and D. I'll take a vote.
Wait.
Oh,
Discussion, I'm Chris Lee, gonna recuse myself from 5A9.
okay, yep. Okay. So the Christie will be recusing from 5A9. Ratification for Vanessa Dixon. At this time, I'll take a vote. Isabella Gary, Zach Johnson,
Yes.
Robert Kawamoto,
Yes.
Wendell Lee,
Yes.
Alex Smith, yes. Chris Lee with recusal,
Yes.
Don Arbus.
Yes.
Gary Miyashiro, yes. Okay, do have agenda item number 5E, the restoration of license for Cherry Becker LLP. Can I have a motion to approve with the condition that they cleared, or complied, with their license actions, or complied with their previous license actions. So approval conditional upon confirmation that they have complied with that.
This is John, I'll move.
Wendell, second.
Okay, move the seconds for approval with conditions. Take a vote. Isabella Gary,
Yes.
Zach Johnson,
Yes.
Robert Kawamoto,
Yes.
Kawahara. Wendell Lee,
Yes.
Alex Smith, yes. Chris Lee,
Yes.
John Arbus.
Yes.
Gary Miyashiro, yes. Okay, agenda item number 6. Is there any public testimony related to agenda item number 6?
There's no public testimony.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the advisory committee members to the Regulated Industry Complaints Office?
This is John, I'll move.
Wendell, second.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve the advisory committee members. Vote, Isabella Gary,
Yes.
Zach Johnson,
Yes.
Robert Kawahara,
Yes.
Wendell Lee,
Yes.
Alex Smith, yes. Chris Lee,
Yes.
John Arbus.
Yes.
Gary Miyashiro, yes. Motion carried. Okay, next meeting will be January 16, 2026. Same place, same time. And the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
What?